Hi, this is David again, and I wanted to do this video on Mitt Romney. Let me say from the onset here that I don't have any political aspirations or agenda anywhere. I've voted Republican, I've voted Democrat, I've voted Independent, I've abstained from voting. I tend to look at the person and not so much the political party. I'm not making this video or any of my videos to persuade the public one way or the other. The public's going to decide for themselves who they want to vote for. The only reason I'm involved here at all is that I think you should know about Mitt Romney. I do. I lived as a Mormon for 50 years. I don't mean 6 months in and 49 years out. No. 50 years as an active Mormon, holding a temple recommend, having being in the elders quorum presidencies, working as a veil worker in the Los Angeles temple, paying my tithing. This ain't my first rodeo. I know what it's like to be a Mormon. I know what we're taught. I know what we're forced to believe. I know if we don't believe and we say the wrong things or we do the wrong things, everything will be taken from us. Our family, our salvation, our baptism, our temple recommend covenants that went on in the temple. All the sealings of our children will be dissolved if we're excommunicated from the Mormon church. We are trained, you shut your mouth. Listen to me. You shut your mouth, and in the temple ceremony it says, bow your head and say yes. The whole group bows their head and say yes. Guess who's been in the temple hundreds of times? Mitt Romney. He goes to the Mormon temple all the time. Now, if you don't know what they do in a Mormon temple, let me give you a couple of ideas. First of all, you raise your right hand to the square. This is all the covenants and all the promises that Mitt Romney has made in the temple, that he will give under the law of consecration all that he has now and all that he will have in the future to the upbuilding of the kingdom and to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Every car, every house, every money, every 401k, every stock plan, all his food, all of his children, his wife. He has raised his hand in front of God, angels, and these witnesses that he is going to give everything to the Mormon church. Boy, that doesn't sound like I want him to be president. I don't care what Republican or Democratic Party he's in. That makes absolutely no difference to me whatsoever. But you know what makes a difference to me is the guy that's in there has got his finger on that atomic decision. And if the prophet calls him on the phone and says, Mitt, you're kind of making some decisions we don't like, we might have to take a look at your membership. If you understand what I mean, Mitt. Yes, sir. I'll bow my head just like in the temple and say yes. I'll make an executive order this way, that way. I'll put a bill in. I'll force the country, pressure the country. I'll turn over abortion. You're right. The Mormon church doesn't believe in abortion. I did once, then I didn't, and now I'll do all I can to take that right away from the American women. I'm telling you, we've got some decisions to make in this country about Mitt Romney. I usually don't use notes, but I made some notes last night. Okay? I told you, he made a covenant before God, angels, and these witnesses hundreds of times that he has consecrated everything that he has and that he is. His time, his talents, and his money to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for the upbuilding of the kingdom. If you don't believe me, ask him. I worked in the temple. I've been married in the temple 3 times. I know the endowment ceremony from the front to the back. Mitt has raised his right hand and says, I'm giving everything to the Mormon church. Doesn't matter. He's already consecrated to do that. I also know something about Mitt that you don't know. In the 90s, this was discontinued in the Mormon temples. However, Mitt was endowed before 1990. Mitt Romney went into the temple on his own endowments and on other people's, dead people's coattails, and he gave the Mormon church permission to kill him, slit his throat, cut across his guts, and let them all fall out on the grounds. If he ever revealed the handshakes and the simple, left knuckle between the knuckles, if he ever said that to anybody, he has volunteered to be killed by the Mormon church. Now, do we need that entanglement with the president? You decide. I'm just one vote. You decide. Isn't it funny that Obama, the black man, had to disavow and disown his church to be president? And you're going to accept Mitt Romney with polygamy, hatred of the blacks, hatred of the gays, against IRA, and a polygamist? And you're not going to require him to step away from his church? Be my guest. It's your vote. You do what you want. This man has promised to give everything hundreds of times to the Mormon church, and he's also promised that he will have his throat slit or his stomach split open when he first took his endowments, that if he ever revealed any of this, that he would die. It's a promise of death. In the Mormon church, there's a rumor, there's an under-the-radar idea that someday the United States Constitution will be hanging by a thread, like it's going to collapse. And that the person that's going to save the United States and its Constitution will be a Mormon priesthood holder. Well, now Joseph Smith with the 14-year-old wives, he ain't here anymore. But you know what? Romney is. He's been a state president. He's been a bishop. He's not just a member of the Mormon church. He's in the Mormon leadership positions. He makes the decisions for local wards and stakes. This guy's not just an ordinary guy like Obama sitting in a black audience and the preacher gets up and goes, blacks have been discriminated against. We made Obama put his tail between his legs and run away from that religion. Oh, but Romney, he's an Aryan. Oh, he's got white skin and blue eyes. He doesn't have to do that. Just the black guy does. Just the black guy. In the Mormon church, there's a good old boy system that's worse than down south. Mormons, the nepotism is unbelievable. In Utah and in construction companies and in contracts by the government, the FBI and the CIA are both grossly stuffed with Mormons. Take a look at the numbers. See how many people in those two powerful organizations in the United States are Mormons. Look for yourself. Now, the other thing you got to take a look at with the power in those two institutions, the president can pick up the telephone, order anybody anywhere, dead or worse. Be aware who this man really is. I don't care if he's a Republican. I don't care if he's a Democrat. I don't care if he's black. I don't care if he's white. What I care about is who he is in here and in here. How was that child raised? What is his value system? What has he been taught? To smile and to wear his magic underwear and everything is okay. He said in the debates just yesterday, said, judging a man by his religion is repugnant. I think he was misquoted. I think he said, you're right, my religion is repugnant. Repugnant. It's terrible. It's terrible. It stinks to high heaven, and it's in his head, and it's in his heart, and he's a leader, and he has approved it, he has condoned it. He was one of the people in the leadership of the Mormon church when the blacks until 1978 were not allowed to be part of the temple endowment and the priesthood of the Mormon Church. He's also headed up and helped with Proposition 8 in California. Millions and millions of Mormon dollars. And some of them right out of Park City, where he has a house and he sent money off to hate the gays. Look at the man. Look at the man. Romney said many things on illegal immigration, and oh my God, you know, he flip-flops. He likes abortion, then he doesn't like abortion, then he likes this, he doesn't like that. In immigration, he's made some comments about protecting the country and making it strong. I think that's why he was out front of his house there in the east, hiring an illegal Mexican group of men to come in, mow his lawn, pick up the leaves, and he just paid him cash. Who is this guy? The Mormons don't believe in obeying the law. They believe in obeying the law of their God and their prophet. That's it. Whatever the other laws are, I don't care if you've got abortion rights from the Supreme Court. Mitt can change that. Mitt can change that. And suddenly women, they don't own their bodies anymore. Now, men will tell them if they're going to have a baby or not. This is the way the Mormons treat women. This is the way he treats women. And you will never see a woman in a leadership position anywhere in the Mormon Church. Anywhere. Do you think you're going to see him in government? Do you think Mitt's going to break? And old Tommy Monson from the Salt Lake City is going to call and say, hey, Mitt, you know, we don't put women in charge of anything. We're patriarchal. We're the priesthood of God. We talk with Jesus. Man, you guys got to know this man. You've got to know where he's come from. I'm going to use this example, and I mean to use this example. If a man belonged to the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan, for 35, 40, 50 years, and then he comes to you and takes the hood off and goes, I like black people. I didn't burn that many, and I only hung a few, and I don't want those little nigger kids sitting with me and my kids in school or church. Separate but equal. It never was equal. It was always separate. Would you vote for a man that was fully indoctrinated in the KKK, and he walked the crosses, he burned the crosses, he pulled the ropes and hung people, he was in the leadership position of the KKK, and now he's changed his mind. He's a good guy. History has nothing to do. I'm a new man. I'm a new man. Crap. You are how you've been trained, how you've been educated. Did Mitt Romney go to seminary? You bet your ass he did. 4 years. 4 years he went to seminary as a child. Did he go to primary? Yes. Did he have young women or young men's program and scouting? Yes. Was he ordained a deacon? Yes. A priest? Yes. An elder? Yes. Was he in a bishopric? A high priest? Yes. Was he in a state presidency? Yes. I only hung a few of those people. I've changed. I'm a psychologist. I have an MS degree. I'm not stupid. He's the same KKK man underneath, and when you push him, boy, that's going to pop out like that. And if you're black and you push that president, he may have a rope. He may have a rope real handy. Now, of course, I'm not meaning literally, but I'm saying he can pick up a telephone and make sure that the blacks that are opposing him in legislation or in law bodies, whatever, he can make sure that's their last job. Yeah, let's hire the KKK leader to be the president of the United States. Now, let me tell you something. If you don't know this, you should have known it. You need to do research on this man. He believes with all of his heart, he's raised his hand hundreds of times and swore to God in his temple, secretly, but now the secrets are all out, that the Book of Mormon, written by Joseph Smith, is a true addendum to the Bible. Let me tell you something about the Book of Mormon. Over and over and over in the Book of Mormon, dark-skinned people or black-skinned people are inferior. Automatically, the Lamanites, Look in the Book of Mormon. Don't believe me? Go look in the Book of Mormon. Black skin and dark skinned people are terrible, terrible, loathsome. That's the word in the Book of Mormon. Loathsome. Lazy. Mitch has been raised with that ever since he was in seminary. Ever since he was in seminary, that's the way he's been taught to believe about those people. And if they join the Mormon church, they'll turn white. That's what the Book of Mormon says. If they join the Mormon church, they'll turn white and they'll be like us, equal. They'll have the magic underwear and they'll be swearing in the temple. You can't be stupid and let this kind of a human being from the KKK become president of the United States. It's nutball stuff. To say that he's not a Klansman anymore and that he doesn't believe in Mormonism anymore. Mitt believes in polygamy. Did you know that? Did you know that? Go look at his scriptures that he swears are Joseph Smith's translations directly from Jesus Christ, the Son of God. It's very clear. Polygamy is the only way that men will get into the highest degree of the celestial kingdom, and women too. And the women just stay pregnant for eternity. They're just turning out like a baby machine. They're just turning out millions and millions of babies for the man, and the man then puts those children down on an earth, and he tests them to see if they're going to be righteous and worship him. Now, don't tell me they don't believe in polygamy. I've been there 50 years. I've been there. Go look in the Doctrine and Covenants, D&C, 132. Joseph Smith, the founder. The book is still being used by the Mormon Church. Joseph said in D&C 132, the new and everlasting covenant, which is polygamy, which Romney's grandparents engaged in. You think he's just going to walk away from his heritage and go, you know, those are bad people. They shouldn't have been screwing so many people. You think Romney, the Klansman, is going to forget that and go, oh, it doesn't matter. The Mormon Church believes in polygamy. They just don't believe we're practicing it right now because the laws say no. Do you think maybe Romney might try to change that law? I don't know. That's why I won't vote for the man, because I don't know. I don't trust him. I don't trust his history. I don't trust his people. And I don't trust the doctrine that he is inundated with and has been trained with and is strapped on him so tight it will never come off. If we really want to test Mitt Romney, why don't we ask him to resign from the Mormon Church while he's president? So that then we would know that the presidency is more important to him than his religion. Ha! No, that's just for the black guys. They got to leave their church and tell their ministers and preach. But Romney's white. He doesn't have to tell his prophet, hey, I'm not going to do polygamy stuff. And I'm not going to, you know, be intimidated by you and all these 88-year-old men that call themselves prophets. I'm running the country. You think Mitt's going to do that? You're out of your mind. This is a cult, and he is one of the cult leaders in the United States. He is going to make the American presidency cult-founded. And he's going to make slow and consistent changes for the agenda of the Mormon Church. What about all the gay people in the United States? Has Mr. Romney been fair? Has he been kind? Has he been Christ-like and gentle? Not in a million years. Proposition in 8 in California is one of the meanest, mean-spirited, evil, wicked things I've ever seen. And you know who was behind the entire proposition hatred referendum? Gee, it's Mitt Romney and the Mormon Church. It's Mitt Romney and the Mormon Church. Let me tell you why the Mormon Church don't want gay marriage. You might not know this. The Mormon Church is a multi-billion-dollar corporation. The members just send their tithing monies into Salt Lake City, and Salt Lake City never tells a soul how those monies are spent. Doesn't tell the IRS, doesn't tell the Mormon people. They just use the money. Okay?
The money that went into Proposition 8 in California was right at about 83% Mormon money. Not a book, not something that I've read, not something I heard, or I'm in a group that just chants and hates Romney, or conservatives, or liberals. I bought my car at Ken Garth Auto Dealership in Salt Lake City, my new car. I'm looking of who donated money to the Proposition 8 campaign in California, because now they have to show all the names and addresses of the people who send money in on referendums. They can't hide anymore behind their garments and behind their magic underwear. Guess whose name? Sister Garth. $100,000 donated. One person locally, $100,000 freely given to the Mormon Church to fight the referendum down in California that gays can't get married. Now, why is it that the Mormons are so upset that they don't want gays getting married? I'll tell you why. Because they will have to probably let them get married in the Mormon temples, if it's a federal law. Let me tell you something about Mitt Romney's home state, Utah. The truth. He lives up in Park City. It's one of the multi-million-dollar areas in Utah. It's where most of the fun people live that come in from Europe and other places and spend scads of money. Mitt Romney's state has two interesting things. Oh, I don't think it has anything to do with Mormonism, now does it? One is that there's no discrimination in the state of Utah. It is a state that is 100% against any and all kinds of discrimination. Everyone is included. Oh, excuse me. The law says a church can be excluded. A church in Utah can discriminate. Oh, but a condo complex or a drugstore or a school, everybody in the state comes under the law except the Mormons and their church. You don't think that's going to be part of the way Mitt Romney is going to run the American government? You're nuts. You're nuts. I've seen it. I've heard it. Now, let's take another look. Geez, the Mormon church had anything to do with that one? You bet your ass it did. Now, if you want to get a bottle of vodka or you like to get a party and get some wine or whatever, you can't get it at a grocery store. You can't get it anywhere in the Mormon territory, state. You have to go to a state liquor store. Now let me tell you two experiences I've had here. Okay, my experiences. I'm not saying it happens to everyone. I'm saying it happened to me. If I want to go down and get a bottle of wine, I can only shop between what I think it's 8 and 8, something like that. I have to walk into a state liquor store, and it looks like, you know, a death camp in there. And they have all this liquor all over the place, and then you can buy a bottle of wine, pay the guy, and leave. Do you know where most of that money for that bottle of wine goes? To the Utah Tax Commission. They spend the least amount of money in this state on children. Is that something Romney is proud of? In Utah, we spend the least amount of money on the education of a child. Here's a guy that we want to vote for. Yeah, he'll be for education. So, maybe you'll all be walking to state liquor stores when he federally passes, you know, legislation that says, hey, you know what? You got to go to a state liquor store. We're going to control you. Oh, it has nothing to do with us. Oh, no, it doesn't have anything to do with Mormons that don't drink. We just think it's good for you to be forced like us. It's part of the man. It's part of the man. I'll tell you, it's just a side note here. I decided to go into one of the sex toy stores in Utah. Man, I think there's 3 in the state. Okay? Go in to buy something. You have to show your driver's license when you go in. And there's cameras through the entire store. Video cameras.
and it looks like the Mormon church is watching and it's turned over. Look it up. Look it up. The Committee to Strengthen the Members. The Mormon church has its own CIA and FBI that spies on the people who might be in the store buying a vibrator. When you buy it, you have to sign your name, your address, and your phone number, and show your license and take off the license, the date, the license number, and when it was issued. You think that has anything to do with the Mormons' repressed sexual, trying to control your penis and your vagina? Trying to intimidate the crap out of you sexually? No! That's not in Mitt. It's only in his state. He's only voted for that stuff. He's only one of the good old boys up there in Park City. Investigate. Know for yourself who this man is, and he is the high commander of the KKK for the Mormons. There ain't nothing innocent about this person. He can smile all he wants and put up all that nice gray hair, but he is head of the agenda, the revenge of the Mormons. Let me tell you something else. Oh, you work for a living? You want to make $4 an hour? Can you live on $4? He might move down the minimum wage. I think it's 5 or 6 now, I don't know. Let me tell you about his state. Things he voted for. Things that he's involved with. Utah's a right-to-work state. Sounds like a fancy phrase. What it means is that any employer can fire you at any time for any reason. Well, that may not be the totally end of the world, but if you belong in any kind of a union anywhere, that union protects you. Not in Utah. Not in Utah. The unions basically have no recourse of action. None. Here's a man that's going to make jobs. He's going to make a lot of jobs for $3 or $4 an hour, and you're going to be like a Mormon in the temple. You're going to bow your head and say yes, and you're going to be glad to have that job. It's a right-to-work state, and Romney had a lot to do with that, and he supports that 100%. Now, let me tell you something else about Mr. Romney that you may not know. His time as president is going to be a short time every day. Let me tell you why. You don't know this. Let me tell you why. He will be excommunicated from the Mormon church if he doesn't do these things, okay? He has to do home teaching. He's got 7 or 8 families that he's going to have to visit every month and spend an hour or so in their house giving them a lesson from the Ensign, which is the Mormon church magazine, of trying to scare and intimidate them and give them new doctrine that the Mormon prophet wants them to have. So he's going to be spending at least 1 or 2 evenings a month doing his home teaching. Then, every Monday night, I hope we don't have a nuclear war on a Monday night, because he has to be home with his kids and his family in the living room and reading the scriptures and having popcorn and playing as a family. And nothing interferes with family home evening. I don't care if it's a war, I don't care if it's a crisis or a terrorist. He is required by the Mormon prophet to sit in that room Monday nights with those children and spend that time with his family. So anyone that wants to invade our country, they know Monday night's a good time to do it. He's also required to go to the temple 1, 2, 3, 4 times a month and sit there and again promise to the Mormon church everything he has, everything he does have, or gets in the future belongs to the Mormon church. And if he lies about anything in the temple or tells the truth, anything in the temple, he'll have his throat slit and his stomach slit, and he stands in a circle with crazy clothes on, a baker's hat, and a green apron, holding the hands of everybody. He's not gay, but he holds the hands of everybody else in the circle in the true order of prayer, and he chants, "Pay, lay, ale, pay, lay, ale. Oh God, hear the words of my mouth. Oh God, hear the words of my mouth." Is this somebody you want as President of the United States of America, representing all of us who are Muslims, who are Buddhists, who are Christians, who are atheists, who are agnostic? Does this sound like silly, stupid crap to you? It does to me. Might not to you. You might go, hey, we need a guy that goes pale ale. That could be good in front of Congress. It might scare them. He also has to go to his Sunday meetings. That's 4 hours every Sunday. He's got to go to priesthood meeting. He's got to go to sacrament meeting. And if he has any kind of position in the church, he's going to have a Thursday night meeting. If he's involved with young men, he'll be a Tuesday or a Wednesday night meeting. And basically, they're going to keep him so damn busy, you're never going to get him on the phone because the guy doesn't have time. He has to live his Mormon religion, or Monson's going to pick up the big red phone and say, Big President, you better calm down and do what we ask you to do, or, you know, we're not going to vote for you, and you may lose your family. Now, if he's threatened with excommunication, let me tell you what that means to Mitt Romney. It means he doesn't have his children after he dies. They're gone. He doesn't have his wife after he dies. The marriage is dissolved. He's not allowed to basically go to the temple and do the Pele Ale dance anymore. And everyone will shun him. Every Mormon in the world will turn their back like a Mennonite, Quaker, and basically shun him. He'll have no family, no friends, and all of his lifelong friends will be gone. You don't think that that's going to intimidate that man a little bit if the prophet goes, Mitt, you know, that abortion thing, Jesus doesn't want children killed. What can you do about that? Doesn't matter. Let me tell you something. As a Mormon, he's not allowed to work on Sunday. So, gee, his Monday nights are off. Sunday nights are off. Most of the other nights are off. Is he just going to abandon his church and his responsibilities that he's been doing for 50 years? I don't think so. Maybe you do. Maybe you do. But he's got to spend 3 or 4 to 5 hours every Sunday in his ward listening to Mormon doctrine and praying to the Mormon Jesus. He also raises his hand. He raises his hand during conference or during state conference, and Tommy Monson is said to be president and prophet of the Mormon Church, and the only one who has the keys to the restoration of the priesthood, and the only one on the face of the earth that has priesthood powers to bind in heaven and bind on earth. All those in favor, raise your right hand. I've been there in those meetings. All opposed, raise your hand. Well, President, it looks like it's unanimous. You bet your ass for 50 years, every meeting I was ever in, it was unanimous. If you go, wait a minute, this guy's a crook, I don't want it. Oh, the security comes and gets you, and off you go, like to a Nazi concentration camp, and suddenly, now, you're not in the priesthood, and you're not in the church anymore. You're not there anymore. You don't object. There's no voting. There's a saying in the Mormon church. Once the prophet speaks, the conversation is over. That's the man you want to put in there? Put him in. I don't care. His history on polygamous people. His history of marrying children at 14 years old to prophets. His history of not obeying the laws of the land. Johnson's army coming in to smother Brigham Young and take the church property because they weren't obeying the law. The Mormon church never obeys the law unless it is indicative and convenient to the Mormon church. They didn't stop polygamy. They continued polygamy. They continue it today with their doctrine and covenants. They basically have hated blacks until 1978. Their Book of Mormon says brown-skinned people are loathsome and evil. Brigham Young said if you marry a black person, the only way to repent is to die. Your blood must spill on the ground. The blood covenant of the Mormon church. Read about it. Look at where this guy's coming from. This is the KKK super king. Women, third-class citizens. I don't mean second-class citizens. I mean third-class citizens in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons. You'll never see, never has been, never will be, a Mormon woman in any kind of leadership position. You Mormon woman, you shut your mouth, you bow your head, you say yes, you're barefoot, and you're pregnant all the time, and you're in the kitchen making sure a man gets a good meal. Let me tell you what's going to happen to people that are on welfare, Social Security, disability, Social Security, retirement, food stamps, any of those catch net programs to help the poor, workman's comp laws, anything that this man can save a dime and step over a dollar. It doesn't matter. If you're a low-class American that doesn't have a job, or you don't have a house or a car, and you basically are crumbs to Mitt Romney, you're going to see Medicare, Social Security, retirement. You're going to see government and state programs cut and or shut down. When you talk about Bush and No Child Left Behind, when you talk about Romney, you're going to say every child left behind. Questions that somebody in the press needs to ask Romney on camera. We're not trying to destroy the Mormon church. They want to do these things, who cares? You know, they provide constant silliness and laughter to the entire world. But if they put a president in there, if you put that vote in there and put him in, you're going to get what you paid for. Do you really want to ask Romney these questions in front on CNN so he has to answer them? What would excommunication mean to you and your family if you were excommunicated from the Mormon church? Then shut your mouth. Then listen to what he says. Then decide, do you want him as your president? Second question, are you going to follow the prophet of the Mormon church in all things? Shut your mouth. Listen to what he says. Number 3, have you sworn a covenant to not speak evil of the Lord's anointed, the prophet, and to give everything that you have now and everything you have in the future to the upbuilding of the kingdom, to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? And did you bow your head and say yes every time you went to the Mormon temple? And shut your mouth and listen. See what he says. Ask him this. When you were first endowed in the Mormon church, were there penalties attached to you divulging information about the temple that included slitting your throat and slitting your stomach and having your guts fall out on the ground? Then shut your mouth and listen to him. If Obama had to quit his church to become president, would you consider quitting your church to show no bias and to be president? And I'm asking basically, in this video, if a man belonged to the KKK and was a grand wizard, or whatever they call him, for 50 years, and then he comes to black America and goes, I didn't hang that many, I just watched, I didn't pull on the rope. Now, I didn't fully agree with what they did there, you know, the polygamy and the 14-year-old girls, and oh God, when they got their rights, it just made me pull over to the side of the road and cry. That's what he said. I pulled over to the side of the road and cried. Maybe he should have stood up before 1978 and go, hey, prophet man, Jesus made these people too. Why aren't they equal to us? Did Romney lead out in that, or did Romney, the the state president and bishop, go, well, that's what the prophet wants. We don't like black and brown people, so you want that KKK man to take his hood off and become your president. Be my guest. Be my guest. I have a master's degree in human psychology. I spent a lot of time and a lot of money knowing human beings and predicting. You can't predict exactly. That's ridiculous. But you can look at the way a child was raised. You can take a look at the value system that was in that child as a young person, as a young married person, and then as they mellow out. You can take a look at their social economics. You can take a look at their religion. You can take a look at their parents, their value system, where they were raised. And you can put that all together. And I'm telling you, with Romney, when I do that, it's the KKK grand wizard. And when you put him in there, if you vote that way, you got no one to blame but yourself. No one to blame but yourself. I researched it. I'm scared to death that when he quits smiling and gets in, me and you are going to be bending over, kissing our butts goodbye that are not Mormons. Thank you very much.